Right.
Well, it's been a while since we've done one of these, isn't it?
Yeah, we God, we went and like had lives for a bit and like wrote stuff.
And also, like, recorded episodes and then forgot to save our voiceovers.
Oops.
Oops.
Okay, we're finally back on the Decent Thrills podcast. Thank you for being so patient with us, but we're finally here, and this is a topic that we wanted to do for a little while. It's one of the topics that kind of inspired me to start the podcast, really, which is a kind of look back at Wicker Man. And I know the Wicker Man topic's been done to death at this point, but I kind of wanted to talk about, you know, now that it's been there for a while, because most people talked about it as soon as it opened, and they'd only been on it maybe 3 or 4 times and kind of gave their initial thoughts. And I want to talk about it as a kind of retrospective look at the ride and how it settled into Alton Towers and how we kind of feel it, you know, fits, and how we feel about, you know, the theme and how other people feel about it.
Especially considering me and Joel, we were both on very opposite ends of the spectrum when this ride was being built as well, which we'll get into later. So hopefully that'll make for some interesting discussion.
Yeah. Yes, and I do also want to address some things with what the community around Alton Towers in the UK say about Wicker Man.
Yeah.
How we feel about that, because we have some strong opinions. I guess you could say they're not that strong, but they're different. So, when the initial plans released, I don't think I remember them coming out. I remember I was like barely an enthusiast at the time. I was like, you know, I've always been interested in roller coasters and stuff, but at the time I was kind of more interested in other things. And I just saw, like, on Towers Times or something, like, I can't remember what I was doing, but it said something like Alton Towers is getting a wooden roller coaster, SW8, and I'm like, holy shit, a wooden coaster, finally. And
God, these plans came out in August 2016.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah, it's now November 2018. Christ, that is such a long time ago.
So, I mean, how did you feel about Alton Towers getting a wooden coaster, like, right back before we knew the layout or anything like that?
I mean, it was all up in the air stuff before that. However, when this all came out, I mean, at this point, I had pretty much just come back from America. My first trip to America, it's California. So literally a month before these plans came out, I had been on 2 to 3 GCIs if you count Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
So when the plans initially came out, I was a bit mixed, because I was very excited, but at the same time I was kind of looking at the top down and thinking, something doesn't look right here. This looks really small.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't that like knowledgeable in wooden coasters. I don't even remember thinking, like, because I knew nothing about this stuff back then. I barely knew any GCIs. I just saw like a wooden coaster, and then I sort of, the first GCI I'd heard of was Woden, because I kind of learned all this stuff from watching Theme Park Worldwide and about all the enthusiast stuff, and I was like, oh, Woden, okay, and we're getting one like Woden. And that was all I was like. That was just all I was thinking at the time. And
I remember that the reactions from many people was also a bit, you know, they were very mixed at the time. I remember. I mean, most things are, but I remember this in particular. A lot of people at the time I was only really part of the No Limits 2 and Coast Crazy community.
Yeah. And
in those communities, it was a very, very split discussion, because a lot of people thought that it looked really, really, really like short.
Yeah. I mean, it is short as well.
And people also, back then, people thought that it was going to be launched. And that was the one kicker that sort of was used in an argument, saying, like, look, just wait, and it might be amazing if this launch thing happens.
Yeah, because there was plans for some kind of magnetic thing on the brake run, on the lift hill originally, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was mentions of it, and that sort of spiraled into a ton of rumours and stuff.
Yeah. God. How did you feel about the flume being replaced?
Didn't care, really.
No.
I mean, it had been closed for half a year at that point, I think.
Yeah, it was one of those things that I kind of felt like I'd done. You know.
I've been on the flume only a couple times, and it was just a flume. There was nothing special about it whatsoever. I barely even remember it.
It was a laugh. It was kind of boring. You know, it meandered around and didn't do much, but there were also some pretty funny parts, like the building with the giant duck inside it. It was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, but I don't know. It didn't really seem like anything that I'd be exactly sad about seeing go.
No, I wasn't sad to see it go. It was kind of a classic. It was a classic ride, but you know, I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all.
I mean, yeah, because the flume closed way early.
Right.
And they were doing prep for this ride in. Were they doing prep in 2016? I can't remember.
I think they were. Yeah, because I remember going to Alton Towers in 2016, and it had the old like pirate themed SW8 signs.
Yeah, those were up really like early, weren't they?
Yeah, and I remember looking into the construction site, and the flume was all just still there, basically, just drained and empty.
No, yeah, it was the end of 2016 when they started ripping it out, I believe.
Yeah.
So like just after the plans had gone live.
When the construction started, God.
I mean, by this point, a lot of like recreations have been made, and I'd literally gone from like, oh, it's going to be great because it's GCI to I'm not sure. I'd flip flopped between a few things, but after I'd seen a few recreations, I was very skeptical.
You did not like this thing.
No, I really did not like how it looked. It looked like it lacked anything that made a GCI a GCI. It looked very drawn out. It looked very bog standard. It didn't look like very interesting.
Do you remember?
And I just remember seeing it being constructed, and I was just like, "Are you sure this looks as good as you think it's going to be?" Like I wasn't sold on it at all when it was being built. Like even when I went and saw it in person.
Yeah, I think you were very much in the mindset of, is this going to be a good coaster or not? And at the time, I was just like, Alton Towers is getting a new coaster, I'm excited, and that's just all I was thinking about at the time.
Yeah, I was also a bit skeptical about the theme as well, because at that point in time we didn't know anything about it. I mean,
do you remember?
There have been a lot of flip-flops actually with the theme, because people thought it was going to be a myriad of things. People thought it was going to be pirate themed. People thought it might have been mine themed.
Well, no. Do you remember there was a construction worker who tweeted like back in the at the very beginning of 2017 or something, saying I can't wait to start construction on the Wicker Man ride, clearly having no idea that it was supposed to be kept a secret, and then he had the tweet deleted.
I don't remember this.
I remember this.
This is a thing.
This is literally, yeah. I wonder if I can find this on Google, because there was a news article right at the very beginning. Excuse the keyboard typing. If I put with a question mark.
I mean, I just remember when the name got trademarked and
Yeah.
the logo got leaked, and people were like, some people were refusing to even acknowledge that was the right name, and they just kept calling it SW8, even though it was very obviously for that. And it was.
Oh, it's so hard to find, because there's so many articles now about when it's.
It's weird to think that something like that got leaked so early.
I'm sure it did. Like, I can't remember what it was on. It was on some like local news website or something, but it was like early 2017 or late 2016 that it was some construction worker did just tweet, "Can't wait to start building the Wicker Man ride" or something like that. And then people were all throughout the year, like when this theming structure was being built, people were all throughout the year going, "No, it's not going to be Wicker Man theme. No way. It can't be Wicker Man theme. That would be silly."
It's not going to be a Wicker Man. And I was one of the few people who thought it was actually going to be.
I was one of the it's not going to be a Wicker Man people, because I was just like a sheep, basically. I just followed what everyone else said, because I thought, well, I'm a new enthusiast and all these people know better than me.
But like, I literally looked at it for about 5 seconds and I was like, yeah, that's a torso and a head and arms. Can nobody else see this? And I was like, no, it's not a Wicker Man. It's going to be some sort of rockwork structure.
Well, that's what it did look like, because the original metal framework, it looked very kind of random.
I mean, even the original framework, I thought it looked like a torso.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
From the very beginning. And looking at the plan, seeing stuff that was to be added on later, it did kind of point to there being some sort of head on it. So I was like, that's got to be, surely.
I remember seeing it had those massive white. They looked like horns at the time, but I think they were just. It was just like the pieces of the Wicker Man, like wood that was wrapped up in white, and I thought that those were like horns for like a demon or something. I was thinking it was going to be some massive demon statue or something weird like that. I don't know why I didn't put the pieces together at this point, that it probably was going to be a Wicker Man.
I mean, I have to remember the first like actual marketing we got was that awful video.
What, the
with that YouTube star in?
That Elliot Crawford. Fuck me.
Oh god, it was such a bad.
I wonder why they canned that.
Yeah, it was like around that sort of time where the runes started popping up. That was sort of like the first major pointer that it was going to be some kind of
pagan.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, I was still insisting that it wasn't going to be a Wicker Man, but
I mean, at that point, I was pretty much sold. Honestly, they were like doing a lot. I mean, it's weird. You got to think. By the time they were doing that marketing, we saw it being built. We knew it was a wood coaster. All the enthusiasts knew it was a GCI. Pretty much the only thing that wasn't certain was the theme at that point in time, and they were still acting like it was a really secretive thing.
Yeah.
But, can't say anything about it, guys. It's a brand new experience. That's all we're allowed to say. And it's just like, come on.
At least they were like...
literally know.
At least they were teasing it, like fucking Cedar Point were like ripping out Mean Streak and putting RMC track on top of it. And they were like, nah, Mean Streak doesn't exist. It's gone. Mean Streak's closed. There's nothing going on here. They were just literally pretending nothing was happening.
I mean, Towers were like that for a very long time, in a way. Like, they didn't...
I mean, they at least put up signs saying, redevelopment happening, groundbreaking, new, whatever it said, attraction.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So there was something.
I'm trying to think. After that, they had another episode which was started from like the Elliot Crawford thing, and then it sort of transitioned into a rune passage with some really cool sounding music.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember hearing that like drums, those like drums. And I was like, holy shit, this is fucking cool.
And everything sort of started changing. Like the whole marketing strategy just seemed to take a massive leap after that.
Yeah.
It all changed to more like cryptic teasers and stuff like that, rather than the really.
It seems like it was a kind of last minute change because they realised that the Elliot Crawford thing was terrible.
Yeah, no one liked it.
Yeah. God.
It was so campy and so cheesy.
Yeah. So how many times... I remember during the construction, how many times did you like go to Towers and see the construction in 2017?
I went a few times. I remember going... I went at least 3 times during the latter half of the season. So I saw some stuff being done. I remember seeing quite a few things about it, and I still wasn't convinced. Like, I was walking up that pathway. Because there was a pathway you could walk alongside it when it was being built, and I still wasn't convinced. It looked really small, and I was like, that's not going to keep its speed up. There's no way. Like, the elevation changes, it looks too drawn out. I don't, like, how are they going to turn this into this really immersive thing that they're trying to push it as? It does not. I just couldn't see it at the time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I hadn't seen any other like big wooden roller coasters at the time other than Megaphobia, I think.
But even Megaphobia, I mean, I've been to Megaphobia in 27. Yeah, I've been to Megaphobia and then gone back to Wicker Man. I remember thinking that Megaphobia looked a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be, and Wicker Man looked about how I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, God, how many times did I go? Because I went once in I think April when it was basically just basic groundwork starting. Like they'd put a few like footers in and a bit of rock work and stuff, and then I went again.
Oh yeah, I've been at the start of the season and seen that as well. I remember. Yeah, I went there for opening. I went there in the summer, and I went there a good few times in the latter half of the season. So that's what I saw of it. Yeah,
I think I went again when they just put like the footers down and the little things for the wood to clip onto, and then I went again when they'd put the lift hill up and it had the flags on the top. I saw that, and then I went during Scarefest when the welcoming was open and the Wicker Man at this point with the statue was finished and wrapped up, and the ride itself was like almost finished. Like they almost finished laying the track.
Well, I think almost finished.
They'd started laying the track. Like the coaster itself, they'd started laying the track, and all the structure was in. Basically.
I mean, I don't know. I still stand by that. I still stand by thinking at that time that it didn't look like anything that interesting, because what I was seeing was not that intriguing to me.
Because you've been on Gold Striker and Ghost
even
Rider
though I've been
and
on,
stuff
even though I've been on Gold Striker, even though I've been on those and Megaphobia, I was still kind of unsure. Really, it didn't look that great. I was like, I mean, at the end of the day, right? I was saying that I thought it was going to be awful. However, I wasn't exactly going to act like, like if it actually turned out to be good, I wasn't going to be salty about it. At the end of the day, despite how much I was saying how much I thought it was going to be bad, if it turned out great, then that's fine. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And,
I would have been perfectly happy to be proven wrong at the time. It's just that what I was seeing really wasn't convincing me.
Yeah, I definitely remember all that.
Because there were quite a few arguments between me, you, Harry.
Yeah, basically us
some
three.
Other people. Yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing it at Scarefest when it was all the structure up, and I was like, yeah, this looks a lot bigger than I thought. I think this is going to be pretty good. And at that point, I was pretty sold on it. Yeah, and I was pretty excited after that.
I mean, I'd heard a lot of people go and see. It's like, wow, it looks great. I mean, when I finally got up there to see when it was mostly done, I was still like, yeah. Like nothing. My view didn't change a bunch, really. So weird to think how much it changed since then and then, though, because
then it closed. The park closed, didn't it? And
yeah, the park closed, and then all we had was an unnamed person flying his plane over the towers illegally.
An unnamed person who flew his plane over the towers illegally to take test footage. And then got invited to the press event, mind you, which is just crazy to me. I have no idea how that happened.
He probably said sorry and sent them a card or something. I just remember seeing all of the drone photos though, and I was still worried. I was still something doesn't seem right here. And then when we actually got aerial view photos of the Wicker Man structure, I thought it looked dumb as all hell from the air. Yeah. Especially the face and the back. I thought that looked absolutely fucking stupid.
Yeah, you didn't take to it.
I liked the ram's head side. I just didn't like the human face side.
Yeah, and one of the things I noticed, which I still kind of stand by now, is it's very obvious that the material the head's made out of and the material the rest of the body is made out of is not the same. There's definitely a difference in texture there, and it does bother me.
The top of it is metal, and the bottom of it is the same rockwork structure that most of Taran is made out of. It's just
like concrete, isn't it? Or plaster.
Yeah, a mix of concrete and stone.
Yeah,
which has been painted up.
It looks good, like the head and the body. They both look good, but they don't look the same, and it just. I
just remember when we saw it for the first time. When we saw it for the first time as well, especially. Also, I was like, "Oh god, it's going to be slow. It's going to be slow." And then lo and behold,
that test.
The madman got some fucking test footage, and
God,
it looked so fucking.
This was when I lost faith in the ride. I was really excited for both this and Icon, and then when the test footage of Wicker Man was shown, all my faith in that ride was just gone. And I was like, oh shit.
I was just like, you know what? Maybe it is fat. And I remember I recorded a reaction for the server, and I literally just went, oh no, over and over again.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh Christ. I mean, there are a lot of people saying, oh, but it hasn't been testing for a while. At that point, it had been testing since December. So I wasn't really going to ride on that as the excuse. To me, it just did not look that promising.
At that point, we were...
the GCI pacing, no, what happened?
I remember the constant factor that you kept bringing up as this is not going to be very good was the flat turn.
Yeah.
That was your deciding this isn't going to be good because it has this
there was
turn.
one thing I did really like about it though, and that was the first the drop out of the tunnel on the air tunnel.
That was the bit that John Wadley did.
Yeah, that was the bit that I actually had a lot of faith in, because I thought that looked great. I thought that looked fantastic. And after seeing what GCI were initially going to do, I am so glad he went and changed that.
Yeah.
If the drop was how it was originally, then I would have literally just not cared about Wicker Man and whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, he did say, didn't he, that, like, he wanted to
change some... Yeah, there was a TTSP John Maudley Q&A in 2017 that I went to, and during that, he brought up the Alton, like he hadn't been part of any of the design process for Wicker Man, and he was brought in as a consultant very last minute. Now, he loved the theme, however, he had a few issues with the coaster itself.
Yeah.
And one of the things, the drop, and then GCI basically said, go on then, do whatever you think you can do if you can make it better. So he literally took it into No Limits 2, made the new drop, and even GCI were like, oh yeah, that looks a lot better. Then John tried to press for more stuff to be changed, but GCI, they didn't want to change the footer layout as it had been basically finalised by then.
Yeah.
And the reason the drop got away with it is because it pretty much followed the same footer pattern as the pre-existing stuff.
Yeah, I think the original drop would have been like a kind of
The original drop had a flat section before it, and it would have been like Invaders.
Yeah, it was like a kind of like a flat section, and then
basically it would have done the turn out of the hit. It would have done the turn out of a chain.
Yeah.
Done the dip down, and instead of having that airtime here, it would have gone into a flat section, and then out of that flat section, you would have turned left and down a slightly steeper drop.
It would have been a more kind of GCI style drop, where it kind of twists around at the bottom. I think that's what it looked like in the original. Cause
it looked so forced and jank, and
the original like NL2 videos people had made of it. It had that drop, that style of drop, the original drop. So that was But no, this new one was a massive improvement. I'm definitely glad he. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think. At this point in time, there were a couple more test videos that came out of people who'd been to Towers during like February when Sharkbait Reef was open, and there was a couple photos of it going through the Wicker Man structure, and you could see the fire.
Yeah,
I was still not convinced by then. And then after that, you had the press events.
Yeah, I mean, God, over the winter at this point, after seeing that footage, my Wicker Man faith was like lost. I was like, it's not going to be very good. I remember actually having dreams about riding Wicker Man and being really fucking underwhelmed, like during the off season. And at this point, the vertical construction of Icon had just started. I think they just started putting.
No.
The track had arrived on site at least, and
Icon was being built around that time, and sort of everyone's focus kind of shifted away from Wicker Man.
I mean, everyone talks about the hype when both of these rides were being built, and everyone's saying, "Oh, they were so overhyped. Wicker Man overhyped. Icon overhyped." The thing is, especially for people overseas, it's a lot different for them because if you live in America, you get new coasters every year, and like multiple new coasters every year, and there's always going to be standout. There's always like 5 or 6, and there's always like one standout that everyone gets really excited for, and then like this year at the moment, I don't know what people are really excited for this year.
This year, people are probably excited for.
Well, last year's a better one because everyone was focused on Steel Vengeance. Everyone was like hyped as shit for Steel Vengeance, and nobody really cared about things like Twisted Cyclone and all these little things, and Wacky Taxi and all these little things that were being built. Whereas
people cared about Wacky Taxi.
I mean, not so much, but like in the UK, we get 2 new coasters in the same year. And the last new coaster to be built was the last new major coaster to be built was the Smiler. So everyone in the UK gets hyped as shit for a new coaster because it's not something that happens as often. Whereas in America, you get like 5 or 6 new coasters every year.
Mm-hmm.
Even in Germany, they get new coasters more often than the UK does.
Yeah, and they're also very different coasters to what we normally get as well.
Yeah.
Like they're very out there for the UK lineup, especially.
It was something. It feels like something finally, that. Pushing into more modern things. Like, I guess the Infinity coaster was something new, but it still had the old Gerstlauer style, and it was a bit jank. Whereas, the first new wooden coaster and the first like proper modern Mac launch coaster, this was like exciting for us. So that's where the hype came from in terms of.
The other thing about Wicker Man as well I want to talk about before we quickly go into like the opening stuff was at that point the theme was revealed.
Yeah.
It was Wicker Man.
I remember when that was revealed.
I just remember thinking to myself, the story's going to be really predictable and that's going to ruin it.
Yeah.
I mean,
the story
is,
was predictable in the end as well.
Yeah, however, did not have as much of an effect on it as I thought it would at all.
Okay, so there were 2 press events. There was...
Oh yeah, there were 2, weren't there? There was the really weird, like, preview one.
There was the preview day... which was when we got all those rider cams from, like, PBE and Theme Park Worldwide and all these people.
Yeah.
That was when we got the rider cams. And at this point, we saw proper footage of the ride going with people on. And at this point, I was like, this actually looks pretty good. This actually looks fun. Like, you could see, like, pictures of them going through the structure and them all being thrown to the side in the train. And I was like, this is looking pretty great. And my faith was almost fully restored at that point. I was like,
I was still on the fence. I was a bit less on the...
Well, you warmed up to it. You warmed up to it after that. You were like...
I warmed up to it a little bit,
You start to be like, okay, this doesn't look so bad now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so at that point, we were like, okay, this is looking good. And then we got the nighttime press event, which was the day before opening day. But that one where Harry went and everyone was there, that was when we saw it with all those... They added loads of, like, extra fire effects, and they had the smoke in full force and all the lights and...
Yeah, at night, that ride looked fantastic at that preview.
Yeah.
Like, really, really, really good.
And then...
I'm not going to lie.
I was like, okay, wow, this looks great.
Yeah.
I was pretty hyped. I think I was still... I mean, at this point, my hype shifted between this and Icon throughout the whole year, depending on where the most activity was happening. And at this point, Icon was, like, finished. Oh, it was finished at this point. Icon was finished, but they hadn't started testing yet. So I was like, okay, Icon's there now. We've seen it. Nothing's happening. Whereas Wicker Man was open and people were riding it. Or it was open to, like, press events and people were riding it and talking about it. And I was like, okay, Wicker Man is the hype now. And, yeah. And then my plan was to go to opening day for the ride. Yeah. The first day of the
ride
season.
Opening day. I remember the lead up to this.
I was going to go with Harry. We were going to run.
I remember
to the first train.
How before was it? I think it was like a week before, where it all of a sudden became on our radar that snow.
Yeah.
On Alton Towers opening day, like the day after the preview night.
Yeah, the night before. I remember talking to Harry about it.
And then the night before.
I was talking to Harry about it, and he was like, the weather looks really bad for tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to bother. And I was like, oh no.
Oh shit, yeah, he was actually there. Yeah. And then I just remember waking up and just fucking... Alton Towers opening day, just everything closed.
Yeah.
Not just everything, most of the park was cordoned off.
Yeah.
You could walk up next to Wicker Man. There were so many people there, like, standing and waiting out there, waiting for it to open.
It was covered in snow, and it was...
Yeah, the whole thing was covered in snow. Oh, God. It was such an ironic thing, though, to have, like... the ride theme to fire that they've had hyped up for so long.
Yeah.
Not open on the same day they wanted to because of fucking snow.
And it's so,
in the UK.
It's so sad as well because they were like, after the Smiler was delayed by like 3 months or something. And with this, it looked pretty clear. They were like ahead of schedule. They were getting this thing ready.
Yeah, it was open and ready to go on opening day, which was like a first.
And I was like, oh my God, opening day, it's ready. And then it snowed. Can't run it in the snow. Mystic Timber's fucking valleys in the snow, so we're not having to deal with that.
Well, that was because of a different reason.
Well, it was snowing when it valleyed as well.
Well, the reason Mystic Timber's valleyed is because they decided to send it while there was still like snow on the track.
Okay.
And it like hit the snow and piled up. That's why.
Yeah, bit of a shame. But yeah, so opening day was off. But they said there might be doing some soft openings during the week. So I was like, well, I'm free on Friday. Maybe I can get there on Friday for a soft opening. Because that was then going to be the day before, like, the official opening day. So I kind of kept an eye on social media, and people went... It wasn't open on Monday. And then people went on Tuesday, and it opened. And I was like, okay, softs are happening. park's not open on Wednesday, so we didn't see that, but they happened on Thursday as well. And I was like, right, I'm going on Friday. So I got there on Friday. I ran to fucking Wicker Man, and I got in like the pre-queue for the ride, pretty close to the front as well. Yeah, and then that was my first ride on it, I guess.
Yeah, I remember you coming off being like, wow.
I kind of fully fell into the new ride hype at that point.
Yeah, you were literally like...
Well, I rode it once, and I was like, this is pretty good. I like this. And then I rode the Smiler, and then I went and rode Wicker Man again, and I was like, I think I like this more than the Smiler. But Nemesis is my number one, so I'll go ride Nemesis now. That can't be better. Rode Nemesis. I was like, yeah, that was pretty good. I'm going to go back to Wicker Man because it's the new ride. And then I went back on Wicker Man, and I was like, I think I like this more than Nemesis.
Yeah, you went full Wicker fan 305.
Yeah.
On like the first few rides. I just remember you coming off and like being extremely excited.
Yeah, and meanwhile you were at Thorpe Park having the fucking worst day ever. Whilst I was like having a blast on Wicker Man. I felt
Wait,
pretty
hang
bad.
on, when was that? Oh yeah. Oh wait, no, yeah, this was like a...
This was
a weekday.
Yeah, it was Friday.
Oh no, wasn't it Thorpe opening day? Yeah, they opened a week after Towers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had like the worst day ever at Thorpe, sorry. Fucking Ghost Train had been ruined. I was looking at The Walking Dead the ride, getting like really annoyed. Things were like breaking left and right, and it was just a very bad day.
Yeah.
And then you were just like, oh, Wicker Man's great, guys. And I was just like...
Oh, God. I mean, at this point, I'd only been on UK coasters, and I was like, Wicker Man... I was like fully on the Wicker Man hype train. And I was like, yeah, Wicker Man's my new number one, guys. Amazing. And everyone was like, looking at me like, what are you, fucking stupid? At the time,
yeah.
Because not that many people had been on it. But then, okay, so then the week after... You came with me to Alton Towers.
Well, no, I just want to point out, they did do another opening ceremony on the weekend after you went. So then it officially opened to the public. So people rode it, and people came off, and people were really, they loved it.
Yeah.
The General Public's reaction was fantastic to it, I remember.
Yeah, everyone was really happy with it. Yeah.
And then I went to go and ride it with Joel.
Yep.
And it fucking snowed.
It snowed again, and you've probably seen the vlog on if you've not seen the vlog on my YouTube channel where we went to ride Wicker Man and it snowed. Then go check it out because we had a pretty fun day, despite having a complete fucking disaster with Wicker Man not opening throughout the entire day because the track was covered in snow in April, the beginning of spring. We were pretty sad.
Right, so after that weekend, I went up to Towers with my mum to ride Wicker Man with her. We got there, and I just remember walking up to it. Now we got on there at around 12ish, so it had been open for a little while.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the beginning of the day. I just remember walking up to it and fucking... I remember seeing the Wicker Man structure again. Like, I'd already seen it with Joel, and I thought it looked pretty... I thought it looked a lot better than I'd last seen it.
Yeah.
Like, looking at it from the actual plaza rather than that construction pathway, it was a lot better looking than I thought it was. But I just remember walking up to it and seeing it rumbling around, and I got in the line for it, and I remember looking at it going over those, like, S-hills. And I was like, oh, God, that doesn't look that quick. Oh, no, I'm not going to like it, am I? And, like... Going into it, I was very concerned.
Yeah.
So, got in, pre-show was pretty good. I'd already had it spoiled for me by then. Well, I'd spoiled it for myself, but because I didn't really care too much about it. Got in the station, it was very good looking, and I got on the ride itself, and I came off extremely surprised.
Yeah. I remember.
Like, I was quite taken aback, actually. And, wow, it was way better than I was expecting, and I was so happy about that. I was very glad.
Yeah. Your expectations were fully blown out of the water.
Yeah,
just because you had them set so low.
I didn't even have them set that low. I just went in expecting, you know what, it's not going to be as good as Gold Striker or Ghost Rider it might be better than Apocalypse, and come off it. I thought it was better than Apocalypse. I still do, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, it turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I was absolutely over the moon actually with that, and I thought the theme was great, the ride was great.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to talk about, because it's really hard to do like a one like solid review on the ride, because my thoughts on it changed so much over the season as I rode it.
One of the things that I really didn't like about Wicker Man was how inconsistent the pacing was. Some days it ran really well. Like I've been to Towers quite a few times this year, and so have you.
Yeah, I've been 11 times. now.
I've had ridiculous rides at Wicker Man. I think my best one was when I went up with Element 115.
Yeah.
And we got like the last rides of the day. Those were easily the best rides I've had on that to this day.
Right.
I was getting proper airtime out of the hills on the back row.
There are some
like
rides
not even just like basic GCI floater. Like I was getting properly shoved up into the restraint.
Yeah.
More than that night ride we got as well.
Well, there are some times where I've ridden it this season and I've been like, wow, that was good. Like, there was one time where I was there on my own, and the park was dead because the park was dead and it was like pouring with rain. Like, it was wet. It was really wet. And I went on Wicker Man and I got assigned to like the very back row, and I was like, holy shit, I'm excited for this. And that was probably the most mental ride I've ever had on it. Like, I was getting thrown around, like pushed into the restraint, like proper good airtime. And I was like, yeah, this is great. This is my number one coaster. And then there are other times where I've been to Towers.
When we went with Harry, especially, it was running pretty weak.
And when
it was significantly weaker than I remembered it when I'd been there the previous time.
Yeah, and when I went with Jack as well, like he was like, yeah, Wicker Man's amazing. I love Wicker Man. It's great. He was like saying it's better than Shambhala or whatever.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does rate it over Shambhala.
What an absolute mad lad.
But I was like, these are easily some of the worst rides I've had on this. I was getting no airtime, barely any forces. But then at the same time, I've had other rides which have been brilliant.
Yeah, it's been very inconsistent. Thankfully, the last few rides I've had on it this year with you were great.
Yeah.
Definitely not the best rides I've had on them, but they were very good.
Well, the first Scarefest ride I had was when the smoke was on as well, because it wasn't on when we last went there.
Yeah, the smoke wasn't on for me. That was the biggest letdown. When I actually went to Wicker Man in the dark, some of the effects were turned off, and it kind of showed. Like, having no mist coming out of the Wicker Man structure does kind of break the whole on fire illusion a bit.
It looks a little bit naked, doesn't it? It looks a little bit bare.
Yeah, and it looks very open and bare.
Yeah.
And I was kind of disappointed actually about how it looks at night, and I have a feeling that's what it was. Honestly.
Well, I was really impressed the first time I saw it, and then I remember the second time of seeing it thinking, something's off here, and I remember it's because the smoke wasn't on.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. I mean, that's probably why I didn't find it as good as I thought it was going to be, honestly. But it was still really good, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, riding it at night,
really good.
I think this is my kind of the review of the coaster itself and the experience of riding it at night. Like, in the day, it's like a 7 out of 10, or like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. At night, it's like a 10 out of 10 experience for me. Like,
I wouldn't go that far.
I think at night it's brilliant. Like, going up into that turnaround and turning to the structure, and as the fire comes on, it all like glows orange, and that's fucking awesome. I love that. And it runs really well after it's had a few hours throughout the day. Once it's run in, it runs really well, and you do get some proper good forces on it.
I mean, for me, I didn't think it added too much to the ride. I mean, not much more than any other ride at night would do, basically, was my opinion. Like, yes, the fire at night was fantastic and great, especially when you're going through the second near-miss bit. But I didn't think it added as much as expected, if that makes any sense. Like, it was good at night. It was very good at night. I really enjoyed it. It's probably one of my favourite night ride experiences in the UK. However, it didn't add as much to the night experience on top of any other coaster. Let's put it that way.
I think it's purely because there was no smoke, honestly.
Maybe.
Because I thought it was brilliant when I rode it with the smoke. But if we talk about the coaster itself, I mean, the flat turn, it's not great. it's a bit weird.
Not great,
it's
but it's nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, you do actually get some decent laterals around it.
It's okay. I don't think the laterals are that decent. You do get a bit.
Oh no, but not that decent. But you do at least get some.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have it flat than banked. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and that the first hill after the drop, the ride has to be running like properly fast for you to get airtime over that hill.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you won't get any, which is a little bit disappointing, but it's still great.
Yeah, the coaster itself is better than I expected. I'd put it around as mid-tier GCI based on the ones that I'd done.
Yeah.
Way better than Invader, by the way, for anyone who's curious.
Yeah. We'll get to that later because I think one of our Twitter questions was about the other GCIs, so we can talk properly about that later. But yeah,
I think
it's
that's it,
definitely
then.
Invader. Yeah. Well, what about the theme then? Because I know a lot of people. I mean, the theme now, once it's been like properly built in.
Some people were being really snarky about the theme, I remember.
What do you mean?
They're like, oh, it doesn't fit into towers at all. It's its own thing. It's got no area built around it. It's just a plaza. But like, this was happening back when it was being constructed. This is one of the few things that I was defending about the ride because I thought the theme was going to be pretty good.
Yeah,
even if the ride was going to be great.
I do think it fits against Mutiny Bay quite well.
It's not as jarring as a transition as Thorpe's are.
Well, I was going to say going from like Nemesis to Galactica is a pretty jarring transition.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, it's not as bad as that at all.
I don't think they fit together at all. But no, it does work in that
It's definitely
area.
not the most. It's definitely not one of the most immersive in the world. Like, it's a plaza, and some wooden fences in the queue line.
I mean, it does look good. It's there's a lot of nice.
It does look
there's a
good,
lot of
but
nice touches with the torches
I would wager it's no more immersive than 13 is.
You reckon? Yeah, maybe.
I mean, if you think about it, 13's got that indoor bit.
Yeah.
With that testicle, which sort of sets up the theme. Obviously, it's not a pre-show, but then you got the station, which is themed up. But then the actual ride itself, you sort of go through the woods, you go through the special section, and you come out.
I mean, Wicker Man's theme is a lot more
it's a lot
than 13's is.
It's a lot more coherent, but I say it's no more or no less immersive than 13, honestly, if you really had to.
Yeah, I think I can almost back you up on that. I'd have to ride 13 again, honestly. But
well, when 13 was properly like dense with forest, then yeah, but they had to cut a lot of it recently.
Right.
So.
Okay. That's a shame. What was I going to say? The pre-show. Yeah, that's a lot. That's one thing that I do like the pre-show. I think.
Oh yeah, the pre-show is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's just a shame that Towers can't fucking keep it working properly.
Here's the thing. Okay, so there's at the beginning of the season, you've got that merge point where there's 3 queues. You've got the disabled pass queue, the fast track queue, and the main queue that are all together there. And then there's a man there who will batch those groups together, and he'll have a little counter thing, and he'll kind of join them together, and he'll fill the baggage room with about 2 trains worth of people, I think.
Yeah.
So people drop their bags off, and they get ready. They go into the pre-show room, and that's a pretty good system. But towards some of the later end of the season, they've kind of stopped doing that batching thing. And
I just remember when we went in July as part of the big UK trip.
Yeah.
And we were using the Dispatch line. We got into the Dispatch line. And then we just saw, like, there's this massive ton of people in, like, the batching area. It was just flowing through, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, this is something that really, really bugs me. That this is the problem it was causing. The main queue was flowing just straight into the baggage room. Loads of people trying to drop their stuff off. And at the same time, like, one person in the bag room and a massive queue of people backing up over that bridge from the station on the other side who'd just got off.
Yeah, and then they were barely able to get everybody who was in, like, the same group into the pre-show. And there was one moment where everyone was in the pre-show. The pre-show had started. They opened the fucking doors to let people in, and it just completely ruined it.
Yeah,
light spilling through. You could see the projection fully. You could see the head of the Wicker Man behind the curtain. It was all just fucking ruined.
Light is...
If that was my first ride, I would have been pissed.
Yeah.
I would have been very pissed.
Having the light is like a massive and really important part of that pre-show, because one of my favourite parts, honestly, is like when the pre-show first starts and the kind of sound builds up and then all just goes boom and all the lights go out.
Yeah, but it was during then when the door opens, so the light just spilled in from like the baggage hold.
Because that's a really awesome effect. And when they're just letting this queue float free.
Yeah, and there are also times where they didn't even shut the door; they literally left it open for half the pre-show.
And at Scarefest as well, the station door was open and people were just walking through the pre-show, basically just skipping the pre-show and walking straight into the station.
It was a mess. And also the projectors for the pre-show, they got knocked out of alignment.
Yeah.
I remember when I went for the Coaster Studios day, they were fixed. They were aligned and they'd upgraded the projectors so it looked a lot nicer.
It looked
I was like,
really good. I was like,
they actually fixed it. I'm actually really happy that Towers have done this. And then literally 2 weeks later, we go there and they're misaligned again.
Yeah. And... I mean, I remember at the beginning thinking it looked a bit low res, and you were saying it looks like it needs more pixels or something. Yeah. But it's actually just because they're misaligned. If you have a look at
no. At the beginning of the year, I'm pretty sure they were using lower res projectors, because I remember it not being 60 FPS either. But then I remember when we went on the Taylor day, it was 60 FPS and it looked much better.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
but if you've ever seen the projection mapping on the Wicker Man skull, the Wicker Man like thing, I'm sorry, this is a spoiler for the pre-show, by the way.
I mean,
but I'm assuming everyone's seen it.
They're pretty sure they've been on it. Yeah.
If you've ever looked at it and noticed it looks a bit blurry, the projection mapping looks a bit blurry and weird. It's because the projectors are misaligned, and they've almost always been misaligned. And it's just such a shame that they've created this really good quality, amazing pre-show, and things are already breaking on it, having like the batching, allowing the doors to just free flow through, and
the whole batching thing is so dumb.
Because when they batch it properly, and I've heard the ride-ups saying we should be batching it properly, or like the batching people saying we shouldn't have to let people do. So it's not their fault. It's some higher up, I think, must be telling them just let the main queue flow through or something.
I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword with both ones, because the problem they have with the batching normally is that they sometimes not had enough people to fill a train in the loading station.
Yeah.
But then when you have too many people, you have too many people queuing up for a train. It's like you can't win either way. And honestly, I'd rather send a train half empty than have to like stack the pre-show to an extreme amount.
That is a dangerous statement considering what Galactica's like at the moment, or what it has been like.
Yeah, but Galactica's a very different thing entirely. Galactica's not because there's a pre-show in between.
No.
Galactica's is literally because they're fucking retarded.
Well, again, the ops on Galactica hate the way they have to do it. It was Tower's decision to have VR on only the back 3 rows, and it was a fucking awful decision.
Most of the stuff that we rant on about with these parks it's never usually the actual hosts themselves. It's always usually the park.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind, please.
If you work at Alton Towers,
if you do work on these rides, we're not personally attacking you.
Yeah.
It's just I'm pretty sure you don't agree with it either. Let's be fair.
Big props to whoever was batching Wicker Man. I want to find out exactly what day it is. What day it was. When was it? I was there on a Friday the 26th. Whoever was batching on Friday the 26th, like whoever was batching in the station on Friday the 26th.
Was it
I
this
love
month?
you. Yeah, last month.
26th
of October. The guy who was batching the train was a legend. He was like running up and down the air gates, figuring out where the gaps were, going, you go here, any 3s go here, any 1s go here. He was like, and I was like, man, this is great. He's like properly running this through, and it was
hosts
on 3
like
trains.
that. Hosts like that. Yeah.
Yeah, people who properly put effort into, because you don't get paid much for being a ride host, and when you put that much effort into your job, I can respect it. Like, especially
when you're given a really shitty situation as well.
Yeah, so big props to that guy. I've lost track of what we're talking about now. Yeah, the pre-show.
No, it's all right. We were literally just talking about the pre-show, and now we just sort of got into the station. I mean, that's pretty much it.
I mean, yeah. So
I think when you stop talking about him, we can transition it into the lineup stuff.
Yeah.
Let's transition. So how do you think it fits into Towers overall now it's been there for a year?
I mean, this year, with the amount of times I've been, my opinions and my rankings of the rides at Towers it's changed every single time I've been because of different rides and how they were running and people we were with.
Yeah.
And it's always between Nemesis, the Smiler, and Wicker Man. And every time I've been, one of those rides has been like a kind of a star of the show, really. Like,
I think one of the things I do have to say about Wicker Man is, when I first went and rode it, I didn't feel like I was at Alton Towers.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a different thing at the park.
It's probably mainly because it's new, but...
No, not really, because when I was queuing for the Smiler for the first time, I knew I was at Alton Towers. But it wasn't immersive. The queue wasn't like so immersive that I thought I was in some fucking pagan village or anything. It just felt like something new and something completely fresh, and felt like something that wasn't.
It does feel nicely polished, doesn't it? And nicely, they've had a lot of nice touches with the signs, and the soundtrack is really good, like the Imascore soundtrack.
Oh yeah, the Wicker Man soundtrack is currently my favourite Imascore soundtrack. Second
might
to
be
Helix.
mine.
First to, and Helix is second. It's so good.
It's good, yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, this is how I feel at the moment, that probably Wicker Man is my second favourite coaster in the park. My favourite being Nemesis, and then third favourite's the Smiler.
I mean, mine's chopped and changed throughout the year, not necessarily due to just Wicker Man. At the moment it stands at Nemesis, Wicker Man, Smiler.
It's exactly the same as mine.
However, yeah, but the reason that is, however, is because the Smiler was my favourite, but the Smiler's theme has kind of gone to the point where it's like aged fucking horribly, and I don't like it anymore because of how it's not been upkept well, and how like it has not stood the test of time.
There's no batching anymore in that room at the end, so you just get
that's a whole other tangent for another day.
Yeah.
Nemesis, like I prefer Nemesis overall to Wicker Man because I think Nemesis' area is a lot more whole than Wicker Man's. Wicker Man's just a plaza, whereas with Nemesis you got the whole pathways to take you down and up into the pit and whatever, and the queue line for it.
I don't think Towers will ever build anything like Nemesis again, to be honest.
Oh god, no.
That was a different time for that park.
Wicker Man is a very solid addition to the park lineup. I think that's actually one of the questions, actually.
Well, it's... we'll get to that. But yeah...
right, now we're going to have to get into the controversial part of the podcast.
Yeah.
Where we're going to see how many people are going to block us on Twitter for saying things about them.
So, this is when it started. This was around the time that I was kind of on a bit of a hump with Wicker Man, where I started to think like, it was around the time where I'd had some really kind of underwhelming rides on it, where it hadn't been as good as I remember, and I just thought like, I think the new ride hype has kind of passed for me now, and I prefer Nemesis and Smiler. That was how I was at the time, and I was like, yeah. And I think at this point I'd been on Icon as well, and I was like all on the Icon hype train, and I started reading through Twitter and kind of the general community, and realised, God, this ride has a lot of massive fans, and people were making some statements about the ride that I was like, holy shit, like, yeah, okay, it's good, but like... I don't want to name any names here, but people will probably know who I'm talking about. Somebody said, like, if you exclude all of the dark ride coasters, Wicker Man is probably the best themed coaster in the world or something. It's
one of the second most immersive coaster in the world.
Or the most immersive coaster in the world. Like,
no,
they're basically just, people are like excluding all of these like things like Tron. Like Tron is like, well, that is like the like holy grail of immersive coasters.
What is the whole immersion thing, right? The immersion thing is having the entire sensory overload.
Yeah.
Wicker Man, got the plaza, it's fine. Queue line is not. You cannot tell me the queue line is immersive.
Yeah, this is
I
the thing.
don't care if it gives good views of the ride. It's literally wooden fucking fences.
I would say like, okay, I don't think the word immersive is a good word for this ride. Like, it's well themed, but I don't feel immersed in this other world when I walk through it, and people really overstate how amazing.
Especially compared to the likes of Klugheim,
Yeah.
Africa, even the not so great areas of Phantasialand as well, like fucking near Colorado Adventure. Also, you have the Mexico area in Chiapas. It's fantastic. Talacan's, like just Talacan's area on its own, I'd say, is more immersive than Wicker Man as a whole, because it's a whole package. Like even when you're queuing up for the ride, the walls around you are themed, and you're surrounded by props and stuff. Whereas there are some in Wicker Man's queue line, however, they're very out of the way, and once you get past a certain point, it's literally fucking 2 meter tall, like 3 meter tall wooden fences just block your view from everything.
When people say immersive, my immediate go-to is Tron. Like, I've not even been on Tron, but I've seen the videos of it, and it looks like that is like another world. It's like you're walking into like a computer game, like actual Tron. That looks amazing. Like the station is so well polished. And I can't wait for the one to be built in Florida, because I'm probably going to go ride it. But I mean,
people, I don't know what it is about Wicker Man, especially because I mean, where Icon has been overrated by some people, including me to some extent.
Yeah,
Wicker Man has had these like really fucking, I don't know what to. They're not fanboys.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been like really fucking over the top with this thing. Like, I'm not trying to say that it's not good, because I really enjoy Wicker Man.
It's great.
I'm not one of those people who's like, I have Icon in my top 10, therefore Wicker Man is the worst ride ever. No, I'm not like that. I really enjoy Wicker Man. I think it's one of the best coaster towers. But seriously, guys, come on.
Yeah,
like it's not the best thing since sliced bread.
The best thing since.
If Megaphobia was retracked, I would guarantee you that people would like it more than Wicker Man.
Like,
because Megaphobia is
just as a roller coaster, that is like, and I think Harry, and I know Harry won't mind me saying this because I did pick him up on this when his review came out. Harry's written a Wicker Man review on his blog or on his website, which is incredibly overstates how immersive and how good Wicker Man is. Yeah,
it's a lot of suck and not a lot of actual review.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a review. It feels like this is why this ride is amazing.
What was I said? Yeah, it feels like it feels like one of those like GCSE exam pieces that you have to write. Where you have to like tick certain boxes about how you use certain words to describe things and such and such.
Oh, this is where the meme comes from, because Harry said it feels like you've stepped back in time into another world. It's like, does it though?
No, you haven't.
Because you can still turn around and see like other parts of Alton Towers. You can see Spinball.
Oh look, there's the sky ride. Oh look, there's the rapids. Oh look,
you can see Spinball from Wicker Man's queue.
Yeah,
it's like, yes, okay, it's good, but it doesn't feel like another world of immersion to me.
No, especially not compared to the stuff at Fantasia. No way, God no. Also, even fucking Williamsburg, honestly.
Yeah, I would honestly say Wicker Man is better themed than anything at Williamsburg.
No. I genuinely no, but like the whole immersion thing, I'd say that it's honestly on level with the stuff at Williamsburg.
You mean Verbolten?
Especially Verbolten.
See, I don't know, because Verbolten has.
I mean, if you think about the areas of Busch Gardens, they're all very tightly compact and everything.
I don't think so.
While the queues are like basic American queue lines, you never usually see a bleed into the other area. With Wicker Man, there are definitely a few areas where it bleeds into the other area.
I mean, if you're thinking about Williamsburg, you've got the river area where all of the coasters.
Well, yeah, but that's not actually a themed area. That's just a pathway between the two.
Also,
areas.
One thing that always kind of what you say with Verbolten, because I've tried to compare Verbolten to Wicker Man in a way. But the thing that I always remember...
Verbolten's more of a show. Verbolten is much more like a performance than Wicker Man is.
The thing I always remember with Verbolten is the show building on the outside is basically just a massive warehouse, and you can see that it's just a massive warehouse. Wicker Man doesn't have anything nearly that, like that on that level of like...
Well, yeah, but it's not really got anything to house apart from the station itself, is there?
No. I mean, that's true.
It's difficult. Wicker Man, it is good. It is very good for what it like. I love what they've done with the station exterior, like the way they've warped the wood and stuff, and they've made it all old looking. Yeah. I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's not the best thing in the world, though.
No.
Like,
and these these fans, they will criticize people who like Icon for saying that it's like the best. These people who like, they say like, oh, Icon fans think Blackpool Pleasure Beach is immune from criticism, and if you don't like Icon,
you can literally reverse that thing instantly.
But these same people will say, oh, Wicker Man is the best coaster in the UK. It's one of the most immersive things in the world. It's insanely good. It's like, it's such a double standard.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like I say, I think both are great. While I do have Icon in my top 10, does not mean that I have my issues with it or Blackpool or anything else along that lines. And we will talk about that. We are going to be doing an Icon.
We will do an
Retrospective
Icon
too.
episode as well, because there are problems with Icon as well. Where Wicker Man definitely won it over. Oh, I did have something else I wanted to mention. Oh yeah. The people who say, there are people who say like, oh, the Icon hype is much worse and much more unbearable than the Wicker Man hype. Can I just point out that nobody has written a song about Icon yet? Can I just leave it at that?
Oh God.
Nick Hudson, right? I think you're a great guy. You seem like a decent bloke, but that song was shit. I'm sorry. I hated it. I really didn't like it. And maybe it's just because of the whole Twitter thing, but I didn't like that song very much.
I just find that Wicker Man, the people who like Wicker Man, way over exaggerate it.
Yeah.
Now okay. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be devil's advocate. Let's flip the script, right? Are we done talking about with the fanboys?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Now let's talk about another aspect of this kind of people. Let's talk about the people who. Well, let's talk about specifically the Americans.
Oh my God.
And what they think of Wicker Man.
Yeah.
Now, if you think we're bad people for saying that Wicker Man isn't exactly the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
There are people who think that Wicker Man is like one of the worst coasters in existence in the USA.
Canada Coaster fans said that Woodstock Express looks better, maybe as a half joke, but he did say that.
Yeah, people who the disappointments of 2018 rides that shouldn't exist. What was the fucking video?
That was it. It was roller coasters that shouldn't exist.
Yeah, it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Like, it's
like what?
They were talking about it like it was this really weak, like, disaster of a GCI that looks awful. The thing is, forceless.
There are people in this community who will defend Invader to their grave and back. Invader is fucking pants compared to Wicker Man.
Seriously, there's
on
no
both
comparison.
coaster and theme. As coaster, Invader is actually forceless. Invader is probably what the Americans think Wicker Man is like.
Yeah.
No, it's really not.
Wicker Man is like El Toro next to Invader.
Yeah, it's like, well, I wouldn't.
That's just.
I wouldn't get that.
I'm
far.
not. It's not amazing.
Invader's not. Like, Invader is fucking pants compared to Wicker Man. And the fact that people are saying, oh, like Oscar's Wacky Taxi looks better than Wicker Man.
I mean, maybe.
No.
I don't know.
I doubt it.
Thing is, Oscar, people were pretty surprised by Wacky Taxi in the end.
I know, but at the same time, Wicker Man is this massive coaster with like this actual theme around it. Oscar's Wacky Taxi is a tiny gravity group.
But they are known for being pretty aggressive. Like, apparently, I've heard like little kids don't want to ride Wacky Taxi because it's too aggressive.
I mean, little kids probably wouldn't want to ride Wicker Man as well because there are some areas of Wicker Man that do actually have pretty strong lats on it. Like coming out of the structure, the second pass through, the lats on there are comparable to some of the transitions on Gold Striker, and I remember that was one of the things that took me by surprise.
Well, this is.
I remember a lot of the Americans were like, "Are you fucking brain dead?" when I said that to them. So.
One of the things they brought up was that they didn't think Wicker Man. One of the arguments they always say is like, we don't think Wicker Man actually looks bad. We just hate that Towers have marketed it as something way more than it's not. But they literally haven't.
Fuck off.
If you watch the documentary, the makers of the ride literally say we're going for family thrill with this, and I think they hit that nail on the head.
But why are you giving it the scary theme? This is spooky. It's too much for kids. No,
it's not even that scary. Like, it's literally not scary. Like,
pretty sure it might make some kids cry, but the actual ride itself isn't like traumatizing.
No. I mean, maybe Alton Towers are known for overstating the scary factor a little bit with 13.
Yeah, but who cares? Well, with 13, that's a different thing. Yeah. But like in general, like who cares if Wicker Man's got like a slightly dark theme, even though it's a family coaster?
It's just what Alton Towers do at the end of the day.
It appeals to both markets that way.
Yeah,
it's a clever tactic. You know, you have a theme that interests people that aren't just like in the family market, but you've got a ride that is like tolerable for the family market. It's a pretty good balance.
Yeah, and even then, as a thrill seeker, not a family person or like a young child, I still love Wicker Man. It's great. It's really fun. It's in my top 15 just because of the night rides mainly.
It's good. It's really good.
I love it.
I think it's really weird how Wicker Man more than Icon as well. They've had so many like each end of the spectrum of over hyping and over hating has been like to a massive extreme.
Yeah, but
more than anything,
even on this is just what I've noticed. I don't know if it's necessarily true or not, but the Icon fans and the Pleasure Beach fans, when they go to Alton Towers, they're like, yeah, Wicker Man's pretty good. It's a lot better than I expected. I like it. Whereas a lot of the Wicker Man fans go to Blackpool and they're like, Icon's a bad coaster. They make jokes about the people who like it. They say it's underwhelming, it's meh.
No matter how much I tried, I could not find joy.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. It's just like, come on.
Yeah.
This person especially, considering the park they work at.
Yeah. I mean, it's fairly obvious who this person is now.
I mean, that's like the one major bone I've got to pick. The fact they can say that and then work at a park that has some just like complete drivel in it.
Yeah, but oh god, but the whole Wicker Man versus Icon thing is such a huge thing because they were both built this year, and I honestly don't think it's even worth comparing them because they're so different.
I mean, I could say I prefer Icon. That's it. That's literally where it ends. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're fucking retarded for preferring Wicker Man. Don't talk to me. You're so low-brained, but you have no IQ. No.
And
obviously, I am slightly over-exaggerating there, but like, you know, all the stuff you see on Twitter about the people just like, constantly trying to call out people for liking something and not liking this. It's just like,
and I mean,
like what you want. Like if whichever one you prefer, that's fine. The time where I start having an issue is when you start talking down other people for liking the other one over it.
Yeah, and
while it is your opinion and nobody can take that away, I think attacking people just because they prefer something else is a bit naff. And also, just like deliberately trying to cause arguments and like stating bullshit statements about something as well.
I mean, we're kind of bleeding into the Icon discussion here.
This will come back. I think we'll come. We've talked about it for a little while. We'll come to a close on this, but just keep this in mind, right? This is going to come up on the next podcast, and if you know us, you know exactly who we're talking about here. The Icon podcast. It's coming. Yeah, the Icon podcast. It's coming. Don't worry. We're going to get to that whole bucket of worms at some point. But yeah, that's enough rambling about the community and how everything's bad and awful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what gets you popular these days, isn't it?
I will say, after Icon opened, I was like, this is way better than Wicker Man. I love this. How could anyone prefer Wicker Man to this? And then after I rode Wicker Man at night with the smoke on, I was like, okay, I can see how people would prefer this to Icon. I still don't, but if you prefer Wicker Man to Icon, I get it. Because Wicker Man at night is pretty amazing.
Alright, so
when this podcast,
so when we announced this podcast, we did a little thing on Twitter, trying to get some engagement in, and we asked some questions, like if you have any things you want us to discuss, is like the end bit.
So do you want me to read the questions? I've got them up right here.
Yeah, sure.
So Immersive Memes, Jake, he asks, has Wicker Man given wooden coasters a more positive outlook to the general public?
Yes,
yeah, I think so.
I'd say yes, almost definitely. The public's reaction has been absolutely fantastic to this ride. But yeah, it's been way better than expected. Like way, way, way better than expected, and I'm so happy for that. I'm glad. Not to mention, Towers has been really busy this year. Have you noticed?
Yes, it's been so much.
I think a lot of that is definitely in part to Wicker Man. Wicker Man is like one of the busiest rides in the park. So people love it, and you can see the stats.
Yeah, before Wicker Man, I mean, how many UK people in the UK, like they think wooden roller coasters, they will just think the Blackpool ones or like
Yeah.
the scenic railways maybe, because not that many people in the UK actually know that Oakwood exists, so they don't think about Megaphobia.
Because all the other wooden coasters in the UK bar Megaphobia are very classic, whereas GCI are a very modern take on it.
Yeah. So
I'm hoping. Well, I don't want GCI at every single park per se, but I hope this does open up the whole wooden style back to this country. So parks might consider adding in things like Gravity Group, for example.
I mean,
I'm looking at you, Flamingo.
Yeah,
Land.
a Gravity Group at Flamingo Land is like my dream right now. And also, if Megaphobia could get a GCI retrack, that would be amazing, because that would make it a pretty good ride. So the next question.
I'll take the next question. I'm going to do this one. Yeah. How long will the fire last until they cannot afford to run it or they break it beyond repair? Also, will it suffer from Colossus syndrome where the thing gets riddled with woodworm? I want to say I hope they
that question was from Tom, by the way.
Yeah, that question was from Tom. iSatNav. I want to say it's going to be fine, but then I look and I just see Smiler.
Yeah. I mean, I hope I'm referring to the Colossus thing. I hope Merlin have learned their lesson by now that wooden coasters do actually need maintaining and looking after.
They need constant retracts.
Yeah.
That's just part of what they are, and part of getting one. You will need to retract certain sections.
I don't.
Or you could be like fucking. Or you could be like Worlds of Fun and make your ride so rough that it eventually derails.
Oh yeah.
Like a Prowler. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how would a retracking work? Because the park probably don't know how to retrack it themselves, do they? They'd have to get.
No, they get companies who come in and do it.
Okay.
I mean, stuff like the Voyage is retracked every other season, and certain sections of it are retracked. I don't think it needs anything redone yet.
No, it doesn't.
Like,
definitely
obviously,
doesn't.
it's not going to happen for a little while, but there will come a time. That's the other issue. That's the other thing. Wicker Man has the potential to age worse as a coaster than anything else in the park at the moment.
Just because it's a wooden coaster.
Because it's a wooden coaster, yeah. So I hope that Towers do try and actually keep it up.
I hope so. I think they will. Because it's like...
As for the fire effects and stuff, though...
They've already been off for half this year.
Yeah, they've already been off for ages.
So I have like no hope for the fire effects, honestly.
Not to mention the pre-show alignment thing. I'm very unsure about the effects. I want to say they'll be fine.
Yeah.
But at the same time, knowing from experience...
Only the future will tell.
Yeah.
So Alex asked how much the nighttime rides changed what you think of it. We've kind of already covered that.
We kind of already covered it, but yeah, mine is like, it does improve it, but not as much as I think people say it does.
For me, I'm like the opposite. It's like, it goes from being like a 7 to a 10 at night for me. How does it compare to other GCIs you've ridden in terms of forces and general ride experience? You've got a better answer to this than me.
Yeah, this is my time to shine. Okay, so I have now been on Gold Striker, Ghost Rider, Apocalypse, Wildcat, Lightning Racer, and Invader.
And Raw.
I think that's all of them. And Raw.
Yeah.
And Wicker Man is very much mid-tier, I'd say. I'm not actually sure. I need to think about my GCI listing properly, because I put Lightning Racer on level with Wicker Man. Maybe above. It's either on level or equal to.
Right.
I definitely wouldn't put Lightning Racer below Wicker Man.
Okay.
I put Raw above Wicker Man.
Right. Okay.
Just. It's close. And then, of course, you've got the fucking Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider and Gold Striker. They're way better.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. They're like on another plane of
They're a lot
existence to
longer
Wicker Man.
and bigger and faster.
Yeah.
So I get it.
As for the bad GCIs, the things that are worse, Apocalypse barely rides like a GCI anymore, the amount of retracts that they've had to do on that.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Wildcat at Hershey is fucking awful.
Yeah.
And Invader was probably one of the most tame wooden coaster experiences I think I've ever had in my life. Even Blue Flyer has more lats than that, I'm pretty sure.
That might be a bit of an overstatement, but yeah.
I don't care. Invader was not... like, even for... You see, people duck behind the whole family coaster excuse for Invader. Wicker Man is also a family ride, so shut it.
Yeah.
Like, no. Don't even try.
I mean, for me, I've been on 2 other GCIs. I've ridden one side of Lightning Racer and Invader. I prefer it to both because Invader is pretty trash, and my experience with Lightning Racer was bad because when I rode it, I had a headache, and it was only running one side. It wasn't racing.
Yeah, and the final question, has it given Towers a better reputation amongst the public? And again, absolutely fucking yes.
Yeah.
There were a ton of idiotic articles at the beginning of the season, weren't there?
Saying like, oh, well, it was like,
oh, mixing wood with fire.
Well, all the people on Facebook were going like, oh, like, you know, they knew the Smiler accent. They were like, oh, wood and fire, what could possibly go wrong? It's like, do you realize that's the point? Like, that's why that's their marketing strategy. They're making something that's scary. Wood and fire.
Hopefully,
that's the
Towers.
fear factor.
Yeah. Hopefully, Towers is like feedback and gate figures will be a nice big middle finger to those people.
Yeah, yeah, and everyone.
So that's pretty much it then.
I was gonna just say, everyone I know who's been on Wicker Man has loved it. Yeah, they've said it's great.
Even if they haven't like put it as like one of their favorites, they still enjoy it at the end.
Yeah, and like even non-enthusiasts, like my friends and family and people I know who have been to Towers and ridden it, have said they've really liked it, or it's like their favorite in the park, or
yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, well that pretty much wraps up this episode. Again, sorry for being gone so long. That was entirely my fault. We recorded the second part of our America podcast, but I accidentally deleted my audio file.
Yeah.
And then there were some issues with the backup file, so unfortunately we had to can it. So we're giving it some time. We were also very busy, so we couldn't re-record anything. So hopefully we'll be getting back on the same schedule.
Yeah, hopefully.
Next week, I think we should probably try and record the America one next week, honestly. Split them up.
I mean, I think I'd like to do Icon next week, considering that we've just done the Wicker Man one. I think it'd be good to follow it up with the Icon one.
I mean, by the time this podcast is out, we'll have decided what it is, and we might, if it is the Icon one, we'll ask again on Twitter for any things you want us to cover.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you so much for sticking with us. And yeah, hopefully we'll speak to you in the next. I don't know what you can say.
Yes. See you on the next episode, whenever it may be. Goodbye.